Hello and welcome to the PokerStrategy.com Team Liquid Star League. I am Artosis, alongside me Tasteless, casting for you from Seoul, South Korea, and we have some great matches here today in the last round of qualification.
Dude, it's the second TSL, and it is going to be awesome. It's already started out with a big bang. Basically, the TSL is a tournament that involves everybody outside of Korea. We got the best of the best down here duking it out, and so far it's been a blast. And look, I look forward to seeing who's going to win it all.
Indeed, indeed. You know, this is the last round of qualifiers. As I was saying, today we have a couple really great matches for you. First off, the Monoverse Caster match is not going to happen. They had some lag issues. We're going to skip over that. Another great match instead is going to be here. We have MorroW against kolll, and this is really exciting because these are two very young up-and-coming players. MorroW, of course, a Swedish Terran, very young, did well at DreamHack this year.
Yeah, and another thing to remember is that kolll is this guy who's kind of come out of nowhere. In fact, with both these players, these are people that are so new to the scene that it makes me really curious to see what the results for them are going to be in the TSL, because frankly, these are two people we wouldn't have even been talking about, let's say, a year ago.
Indeed, it is. So let's take a look at today's match. All right, the match list, we have Fighting Spirit as the first map, Outsider as the second map, Destination as map number 3, Andromeda as map number 4, and then Neo Tornado if it goes to the 5th game. So, you know, the map pool overall, I say it's maybe just slightly in Zerg's favor, but
yeah,
definitely playable maps for Terran.
Yes, certainly. And what I like about this map mixture is we have some maps that reward creative play, like Outsider. We have maps that are simply put solid. Everybody loves maps like Destination. And we have some maps that are a little bit old, like Andromeda.
Indeed we do. All right, well, let's take a quick look at the kolll player profile. kolll, this guy, he is so young. He's like 14 years old, and he got 4th place overall in the World Championships of StarCraft in China this year. An amazing feat.
And he knocked out Hydra in that process.
He did do that.
Yeah.
You know, Hydra's been winning everything, and kolll, you know, he merited up and 2-0'd Hydra. So, you know, as we see here in his player information, that is, in fact, one of his accomplishments.
Yeah.
That is how short this kid's career really is.
Well, it's kind of funny because normally German Zergs, you're going to think of somebody like Mondragon.
You're going to think of almost strictly Mondragon.
Yeah,
speaking
exclusively,
of which,
and otherwise it's going to be a Protoss player.
Yeah. You know, basically Germany every year won by Mondragon, but this year Mondragon didn't go. kolll picked up in his place, won the WCG Germany over Horror in the finals, and here he is in the final round against MorroW. We see that, look at these matches real quick here. The stats that you see are the games between A- and A+ during the TSL ladder, so it doesn't show any noob bashing in there for the most part. And
except for those A- noobs, but
yeah, that's about it. So you know, kolll, a very young, very exciting player, and
yeah, exactly.
There is a lot of hype around this guy, man. This guy is like, everyone has their hopes in kolll. They all, you know, he beat Hydra, you know, the villain of our community. And so here he is. People want to see him do really well in this tournament.
Well, and on top of that, normally when you see somebody from Germany, you think Zerg, like I said, you think Mondragon. This is kind of the Neo Mondragon. He's kind of filled in with his shoes. But he's so young, and he is so talented. This guy is 14 years old. And it's not like Flash, where he's had people that have been there to actually help him out and teach him along the way. This guy is clearly just a genius.
Yeah, I mean, he really copies the Korean style very, very well. And that's why he got good so fast. He practices a lot of Mutalisk Micro. He's got one of the best Mutalisk Micros outside of Korea. I'd say he's easily top 3 at it with, like, Rhett and Zhao. So, you know, things like that, not very common for foreigners. I think that's why he maybe caught Hydra off guard there, caught a lot of people off guard, came out of a really hard group. And so there we go. That is kolll for you. Now let's go over and take a look at MorroW's profile. Now, MorroW, this guy, he is a very young Terran player. I think he's about 16 or 17. You know, he really tries to copy and learn from pro gamers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he comes up with a lot of his own builds, a lot of cheesy stuff, a lot of really technical builds.
Yeah, and you know what I got to say about not just MorroW, but Sweden in general, is isn't it great to see a very talented player coming from Sweden again, because Sweden, kind of like Germany and Poland, is one of these European countries that is big when it comes to esports. But normally when we see Sweden, we think of Counter-Strike, for instance. And it's nice to see another young StarCraft player coming from this country and representing. And you know what? He was high ranked. I mean, look, ladder rank number 2 here on the ladder. And frankly, I don't think anybody expected this guy to be there. So what I'm really excited about is having these 2 very new school players on the scene, and even though their techniques are a little bit old school, assimilating replays and studying other people's styles, it's going to be cool to see them interact with each other and see the results of a match like this.
Indeed. MorroW, he got a lot of garbage talked about him during the ladder. He was dodging a lot of good players and things like that. But, everyone was to a certain extent, except, the manliest of the manly. But MorroW, he definitely deserves to be in the top 48. I even would go as far as to say I think he even deserves to be in this last round of qualifiers. Yeah. Now, is he good enough to be top 16? That's a little bit more questionable. That's what he's going to have to prove to all the haters out there here today.
Well, then that's a really good point. Of course he deserves to be here in the TSL. I don't care who you're playing. If you get number 2 out of all the people outside of Korea competing in this tournament on the ladder, you're clearly doing something right. I mean, once you get to the A- levels, you're not playing bad people by any measure. But yeah, can he make it? And just like all tournaments that I broadcasted, once you get to this certain level, once you reach a certain step in where you are in the phase of the tournament, like the top 16 for TSL, it really says something about you. It's no longer an accident that you've come this far.
I can't disagree with that. All right, let's take a look at our first map for the day. The first map is going to be Fighting Spirit. I think that this is maybe one of the very best maps in the TSL map pool, along with Destination.
I agree.
Really a great map. TVZ here can be quite fun and exciting. We see a lot of good games in the Pro Leagues and everything, and as you see, the Pro League stats a little bit Terran skewed.
Yeah, that's actually quite true. And one thing about this map is that if Zerg can't secure that third base, because there are so many different ways to move around the map, if you can't get that third base up and secure it, it's going to be really tough for you. So a lot of this for Zerg is about the mid-game timing. And by the way, as far as different types of maps out there, this is kind of that stereotypical, I want to see a macro map when it was originally produced in the Korean scene. And I think it's going to reward very standard play.
Yeah, I think you're right, but, just to analyze what I think is going to happen on this map between these 2 players, as you were saying, it can be hard to get a third base on this map, and kolll, a very strong Mutalisk micro player,
yep.
And, he copies Koreans a lot, so I think we're going to see kolll do a 2-hatchery strategy and take that third base pretty quickly. Now, MorroW, it's really hard to predict exactly what he's going to do, because either A, he'll play quite standard, or come up with some really weird cheese. So, I'm not sure exactly what he's going to choose to do, but he's, let's just see, I guess.
Yeah, the results are waiting. We're going to find out any second now.
Yeah, and just real quick, Tasteless, what do you think? What is your prediction for this match and how it's going to end?
Well, look, frankly, I think it'd be foolish for me to not say that kolll is the favorite here. kolll has produced very concrete results, not just on the internet, but live. Live, actually, even when he's put in the booth in front of an innumerable amount of Chinese people watching at the WCG, he's produced results. So at the end of the day, I think kolll should be the favorite, but then again, MorroW is kind of this dark horse player. I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, it's hard to really know exactly what to expect with MorroW, but, kolll, he is the favorite here, but I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say I think MorroW is going to take it down 3-2. Terran is a very good race to play in a match like this, a best of 5. Just play solid. The pressure might get to a Zerg player. You misclick those mutas one time.
Yeah, you fly those mutas into a group of Marines, and it can be over, especially if your prediction is correct about him going 2-hatch muta. I mean, that is something where you have to micro that. That's the equivalent of Protoss going early Reaver against the Terran. I mean, if you lose that shuttle of the Reaver, it's the same thing with that group of Mutalisks.
Indeed it is. All right, well, I think that we are going to have to start this game up. I cannot wait anymore. I want to see what's going to happen. What do you think, Tasteless? Should we go?
I'm ready. Let's do it, man.
All right, let's go. Alright, and what we see here is in the top right we have kolll with Zerg. And in the top left, we have MorroW with Terran.
Okay, well, both these guys hug the north side of the map. It's a 4-player map, and as we can see, the Zerg player is sending his Overlord out here to the top left. So he's actually going to find his opponent right away, and that's pretty big, especially on a 4-player map. It's not like it's a 2-player map where he's going to find him no matter what. So that's going to make kolll feel pretty comfortable opening up in this game. He's going to see exactly what MorroW's doing. And as we said before, MorroW is kind of this dark horse player where we don't really know what to expect from him. He's kind of out of nowhere, and I think it's going to play pretty well into koll's game.
Yeah, you know, that Overlord floating over, he's going to have it in a good position to try to spot any Marines coming out. That's especially important against MorroW because, you know, he likes to incorporate a lot of weird timings and stuff like that. And so, you know, it's good that he's scouting him so quickly right away here. Now we see that he is also sending out a drone scout. It is a 4-player map. He does know MorroW's style. You know, that's a cool thing about the Foreigner scene. We all run into each other so much that you kind of know each other's styles, and you can prepare for that. I think that really adds a very interesting element to these games that we don't see quite as much in the Korean pro scene.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. It's funny because when you see somebody scout with a drone this early, I mean, that's a very early drone, and when you send a drone out really early, and especially as a Zerg player, where you're not making workers the whole time, that indicates that you want to play cautiously. You're going to go in that fight just blocking, and you're going to wait for him to make a mistake. And I think what kolll is really telling us with this kind of play style is, look, I think I'm better than this guy, I just don't want to be sucker punched. And so far, as long as he spots anything unusual, it'll work to his favor.
Indeed. Now, we see that if we take a quick look at MorroW's base here, he's done the 11 barracks and actually sent out his SCV at the perfect timing where he's going to see that hatchery, decide that it is being made before a spawning pool, and that's going to allow him to get a command center before a second depot or before any Marines, and that is going to give him a great economical opening. So already we see that these two doing builds that they are very comfortable with, they're very good with, and look at that, the SCV scouts sees the pool, sees the extractor, and kolll, in fact, is going to go for the 2-hatch Mutalisk as predicted.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And as you said, kolll has great Muta-Micro. And frankly, on a map this big, if you go for really fast Mutalisks and you can actually damage your opponent, even cripple him, you can expand to a location like the bottom right, for instance, and Terran is never in a million years going to get that. So our focal point right now is to wait for the mid-game and see what's going to happen there. Unless something out of the ordinary happens, all we can do is hope that each of these guys macros perfectly.
Indeed. Now, you know, when dealing with a 2-hatchery Mutalisk player as a 1-barracks fast-expanding Protoss, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. We see that MorroW already adding that second barracks, so this means he might do a very Marine-heavy counter to this, which is going to involve some early pressure against the first 6 to 8 mutas. And so this is kind of interesting. Will he go up to a quick 3rd barracks, or will he do a more careful tech-based route? Only time will tell.
Well, you know, one thing about getting that gas a little bit later is it means your attack upgrade is going to be just slightly later, your stim upgrade is going to be slightly later, but most importantly, your Marine range upgrade can actually come out later. So if it gets to the phase of 2 base Mutalisks and you actually aren't controlling those Marines perfectly, you can really be in for a world of hurt.
Oh, yes, you can, especially against koll's micro. I'm really looking forward to see how much his micro has progressed. I have actually not seen kolll play since WCG World Finals, which was some time ago, almost 2 months now, it seems.
You know what struck me, actually, about meeting kolll is that when you're standing behind him and you're watching him play, you're thinking, my God, this guy is so good. But when you talk to him, you suddenly realize, oh my God, you're 14.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's not a diss. I'm not putting him down. But what's interesting about that is you think, how the hell are you so good at 14? I mean, you pretty much taught yourself. And I mean, we pretty much started playing StarCraft when we were 14. That was like, what, 11 years ago?
Yeah.
And yet this guy, way stronger than us, if we were to play him right now. And I got to hand it to the guy. I mean, you got to give him credit where credit's due. kolll is an amazing player. It's well deserved.
Indeed. Now we see that MorroW, you know, he's got the 2 barracks up, he's got his academy up, and adding a 3rd barracks. Also moving his Marines out around the map a little bit. That's going to force some sunkens going up, hurt the economy a little bit of kolll. And so far, I have to say that MorroW is playing quite well. And if you take a look in the bottom right of the mini-map, Well, kolll is going to be taking a third base, so he's actually doing exactly the strategy I expected out of him. You know, it's very good for this map, but at the same time, I really like what MorroW's doing. This is something becoming increasingly more popular as Bionic makes a resurgence against 2 hatchery Zerg.
Yeah.
Is you get these 3 barracks up very fast, you go a little bit later on the turrets and skimp a bit on the turrets, and this allows you to put on a lot of pressure, and those mutas basically can't harass you, or you counter and kill their third base.
I got to emphasize how great MorroW's positioning is here. The medics in the front, the Marines behind the command center in such a way that it acts as a funnel if Zerglings are going to move in there. And of course, anybody who's played Terran that's made a command center early on knows that the Zerg can just make a bunch of Zerglings and run in there and kill you. So MorroW is clearly prepared for that. The engineering bay is going to be almost done. And take a look here. Not that kolll hasn't seen it, but there's a lot of Marines and 2 medics moving out now, heading towards the base. And what this is called is a pressure technique. It's not normally meant to win the game. It's there to force the Zerg to spend drones, which could be mighty minerals. He wants to make them make sunken colonies. However, look at this. kolll doesn't budge. He knows it's just a fake. And his Mutalisks are out, so this is the moment we want to watch for.
Yeah, and, you know, these mutas, these first mutas, he's going to have to try to lower the Marine count.
Yeah.
Going to have to try to keep these Marines around the main base. And look at this! The mutas run right into the Marines and take a little bit of damage, but kolll, being quick, does not lose any. Now, this is going to come down very micro-based. Here we go. kolll going at the Marines, and will MorroW be able to keep all these Marines alive?
The trick with Micro and Medic Marine is that you want to be running towards the Mutalisks always. You never want to be retreating, because that's how you're going to lose all of them. Marines, easily the most fragile in the whole game. They deal damage much quicker than they take it. Nice, he snipes 1 Mutalisk there.
Now that is big. He's got a lot of Marines there. He's got 4 medics still healing him up. And kolll cannot be liking where this is going right now. And look at that, the muta's flying right over 3 rallied Marines, and another muta going down, another muta going down. Wow,
that was an
right
unprecedented amount of damage that he just absorbed there.
Yeah, you know, right now MorroW is in a great position with this Marine medic. There is simply no lurkers on the map quite yet. There is a Hydralisk den up in the bottom right. And, you know, until he gets lurkers, he has to use just his mutas to hold up these Marines, and things are not looking good for kolll at all.
This is dangerous because kolll actually positioned the Hydralisk den at the expansion, hoping that if his opponent scanned his main, he wouldn't see a Hydralisk den, and assumed that his opponent was going for like 2 control groups of Mutalisks, that all-in technique where you actually just overrun your opponent's base. And instead, he's going to move down here. You can see he wants to move for lurker the ramp, but he can't. And I think if he loses this expansion, the den, he's going to be quite possibly out of this game.
Yeah, man. I mean, if he loses this is what this build is designed to do. Pressure that third base from this 2 hatchery Mutalisk build. And MorroW is just executing it beautifully.
Yeah.
kolll is in a lot of trouble, and if he cannot hold off these Marines, this game is going to end. Well, just about. You know, the 2 hatcheries, his main is expansion. He is not going to be able to come back against MorroW's strong mechanical play. So let's see here. He's got a lot of Marine medic in there. The muta's going in for another swipe, taking out a few Marines.
Oh my god, very nice play there. You know, you have to keep these Marines alive here because you obviously, it's not easy to reinforce Marines in this moment. They're very slow. I mean, you can stim them, but then they're going to get there with less health. So all you can do is try to micro perfectly. We don't see a lurker out on the field yet, though. This is an interesting technique, by the way, by MorroW to leapfrog turrets forward to make sure that Mutalisks are not going to be the thing that's going to win this battle. But right now it's up to kolll to get these lurkers out. There they are, and he's going to pull. He's actually playing, I think, almost too aggressively.
That was too dangerous right there, man.
Oh my god.
Oh, loses them. Marine reinforcements coming up. kolll, very few mutas left. Really trying to micro, but it's not going to work out for him. It looks like MorroW will be able to bust up this base.
Yeah, I don't see him keeping the base. And actually, how about that? He just goes ahead and punches out GG. First game ends pretty quickly, and what I would, I guess, what I would call a textbook loss.
Yeah, you know, this was a very standard game with very standard play. And MorroW, he played very well there, man. kolll is going to have to come from behind now. MorroW with the 1-0 lead. You know, I don't know what to say. That just MorroW played very well, and kolll, his timings, his micro is just a bit off.
You got to hand it to MorroW. There was no one little mistake that we saw kolll do, or even one big mistake we saw him do. He just was outplayed. He didn't control his Mutalisks well, which makes us look bad because we just said he had the best Mutalisk micro out there. But also, you could see that he even leapfrogging the turrets forward to just make sure that he would not die to Mutalisks early on, spotting the expansions quickly, even making that right call. All right, I'm going to go to the exact opposite location of my main and take out that base. I'm not going to go for the main. Really well played.